Good evening to all of you. Very welcome. I'm glad to have you all here as our guest. Of course, I'm really glad that we have Paul Rulkens all the way from Maastricht. He traveled this afternoon to Twente. He feels a bit at home at our university since he studied chemical technology back in the 90s. He was a member of Alembic, the study association, and he really likes it to be here. So welcome to Paul Rulkens. I will introduce him shortly, briefly for you. Paul Rulkens, after studying chemical technology, worked in a lot of companies doing industrial things, so to say. He worked with problems that didn't talk back. That's his own words. And then he started getting more interested in the people behind all the processes. The human factor, who is always behind almost everything what happens in the world. And how do people think? How do they react? How do they not think? How do they just react on things? And Paul funded his own company called Agrippa Consulting International. And perhaps, Paul, you could explain Agrippa. Why did you choose that name? What does it mean?
Apart from being a magnificent name, of course, Agrippa is a Roman general. Does anyone know Agrippa? Roman general.
That's
He was the background guy of Emperor August. So all the battles that Emperor August won was basically Agrippa. So in the back, and that's a bit the idea.
And isn't his name at Pantheon in Rome?
That's also true.
Where
that's also true.
Okay, that's explained. Paul focuses on all kinds of high performance actions. You can think of, he trains business leaders, he trains employees to become more convincing rhetorically, for instance. He gives them tips how to become strategic quitters. Maybe you will explain what strategic quitting. Yes, I think it's one of your key things. And he is an expert in the field of teaching people how to become unstoppable goal achievers. That's the main theme of this evening. Welcome. You can take some paper and a pen. We have to do some work this evening, so be prepared. Paul worked for famous companies like ExxonMobil, Canon, just to name a few. He wrote a book about his high performance activities called The Power of Preeminence, and it's about the high principles to accelerate your business and also career. And I think it also applies to study careers. I think your theory can be applied to all kind of activities. Paul is also trained as a standup comedian. Please watch his timing. That's what you learned from it. He did several TED Talks. And he is also very interesting in engineers and how they work and think. So that's also important to keep in mind. Paul Rulkens, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. So, good evening. Who of you is familiar with Ernest Hemingway? Ernest Hemingway. Anyone? Who's Ernest Hemingway? A writer. Yeah, he's a writer. For whom the bell tolls, The Old Man and the Sea. Very famous writer. Yeah, he's a very famous writer. But what many people do not know is that Ernest Hemingway was also an alcoholic. So he was drunk most of his life. And because of the fact that he was drunk most of his life, he went bankrupt several times, personally. And one day he just went bankrupt, and a friend came to him and said, "Ernst, how did you go bankrupt this time?" "Well," said Hemingway, "first gradually and then suddenly." And that's also a bit the theme of today. There's no such thing as a status quo. There's no such thing as a status quo. In other words, if we do not get better, we're getting worse. And that is good and that is bad news. Here's the bad news. The bad news is what has got you here will no longer get you there. What has got you here will no longer get you there. And if you want to have results that you've never had before, then you need to start doing things that you've never done before. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. The good news is you do not have to be ill in order to get better. You do not have to be ill in order to get better. And that's what we will be talking about today. What is it that we can do to become even better? Now, the reason that we will talk about it today is I'm going to talk about goal achieving. And you are already very good at this. You are already very good at this. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here in the first place. But you might hear an idea from me or your neighbor or someone else that will make you even better. This is how the best get better. So that's what we will focus on. How the best get better. And here's the thing. If you got an idea and you think that's a great idea, then write it down. Write it down. That's the reason why we gave you pen and paper. Write it down. Make it a prisoner of your mind forever. And the reason is, if you do not write it down, then tomorrow morning when you return to your office or your home and you open your computer and your tsunami of emails hits you in the face, if that happens, you've completely forgotten the great ideas that you had this evening. Yeah, so write it down. There's pen and paper. If you don't have pen and paper, then come down, get pen and paper. So write it down if you got a good idea. Tonight it's not about understanding everything I'm going to tell you. Tonight is about asking the question, how? How can you apply? Yeah, very pragmatic, very engineering-like. Yeah, make sense? Yeah, write it down, good idea, make it happen. What I'm going to talk about is a couple of things. First of all, talk about the secret of high performance, and it's called the razor's edge. And then I will talk about the 3 building blocks of high performance, which is clarity, focus, and execution. Yeah, so 4 things: the razor's edge, then I talk about clarity, then I talk about focus, and then I talk about execution. And it will take about 1.5 hours, so we will be ready at around 9 o'clock. You can ask questions in between. It's an interactive thing. And so we'll do a couple of exercises also to make sure that you see how can you apply it to your own world. Let's talk about the secret, the biggest secret of high performance, and that's the razor's edge. And to understand the razor's edge, we need to go back to 1956. Because in 1956, there were a couple of data scientists, and they studied racehorses. And what they found was something very interesting, because what they found was that over a longer period of time, the number 1 racehorse was earning 10 times more than number 2 in prize money. Yeah, so the number 1 racehorse earns 10 times more than number 2. But what they also found was that over a longer period of time, the number 1 was 3% faster than number 2. 3% faster, literally a nose length. And they call this strange phenomena, they call this the razor's edge. And what it actually means is that small differences consistently applied will have a huge, huge, huge impact on your results. And the interesting thing is the razor's edge is not limited to racehorses. Actually, we see it everywhere. I'll give you an example. Who of you knows David Beckham? Yeah, who is David Beckham? Famous soccer player, yeah, famous footballer, yeah. Many people know him as a soccer player. I was with a group last week. They said, isn't he a Spice boy, they said. I said, yeah, that might be also okay. Yeah, but most of us, we know David Beckham as a soccer player. And the interesting thing about David Beckham is David Beckham earns, on average, 100 times more than the average professional soccer player. That's his salary, 100 times more. But the funny thing is that David Beckham doesn't score 100 times more goals. He doesn't do that. It's even worse than that. David Beckham has retired, and he still earns 100 times more than the average soccer player. So this is the razor's edge in action. Small differences consistently applied will have a huge impact on your result. Now what it means for us, and this is interesting, what it means for us is if you want to double your results, whatever your results will be, but if you want to double your results, you do not have to become twice as good. But you only need to become a little bit better in a few things that truly matter. And that's what the razor's edge is all about. And that's what we will be talking about today. What are the things that you need to become a little bit better at in order to get massive results? Razor's edge in action. Yeah? So that's the razor's edge, the foundation of high performance. If you want to double your results, you do not have to become twice as good. You only need to become a little bit better in a few things that really matter. Now, the key question for us today is, of course, what are the things that we need to become a little bit better at in order to achieve our results? And the first thing we need to become a little bit better at is what we call clarity. Clarity. And the reason why clarity is so important is that in my experience, many people, teams and organizations, they suffer from the Columbus syndrome. Columbus syndrome. Has anyone heard of the Columbus syndrome? Anyone knows what it is? Columbus syndrome? No? Does anyone know Columbus? Just testing. Yeah. Who's Columbus? Anyone? Discoverer. Yeah, Columbus. Yeah. Columbus discovered. It was not a question there. Columbus is the discoverer. Now here's the interesting thing. When Columbus set sail to the Americas, he did not know where he was going. And when he arrived there, he didn't know where he was. And when he returned to Spain, he didn't know where he had been. And that's the Columbus syndrome. And you see that with many people, teams and organizations, they haven't got a clue where they are, they don't know where they're going, and they are lost to understand where they have been. And not you, of course, but others who should be here tonight. Yeah? Columbus syndrome. So that's what you see. Many people suffer from the Columbus syndrome. So clarity ensures that you know where you are, that you know where you're going, and that you know and understand where you have been. So clarity is very important. And if we talk about clarity, there are two elements which are very important for clarity. One element is what we call vision. Vision. Having an idea, this is where I'm going. That's the vision part of clarity. And the other part is connection. Being connected with yourself and with other people. And the reason is no single goal, no single big goal has ever been achieved in isolation. So connection is very important. Being connected with other people. Make sure your vision is connected to other people. And for clarity, for high performance, you need both a vision and a connection. Now you can make a quadrant here, and imagine you have a low vision here and a high vision here, and a low vision here and a high vision there, a low connection here and a high connection there. 4 quadrants. 4 quadrants. Now, question to you. This quadrant, low vision, low connection, what is it called? If you don't have any vision, you don't have any connection. What is it called? Failure? Death? Ooh, that's a gruesome audience today. Yeah, well, deadish maybe. Huh? Yeah, yeah. What else? How do you call it? Sorry? Apathy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's the scientific term for this one. You're stuck. Stuck. Yeah. It's like swimming in a piece of concrete. You're stuck. Stuck. Yeah, so that's one element. If you have a low vision, low connection. Now, if you got a high vision and a low connection, what do you have? High vision, low connection, what do you have? A dream, yeah? It's the positive spin, huh? Yeah, yeah. No results, you said, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else, what do you have? Yeah, high vision, but no connection. Ideas. Yeah, yeah. Also, here's a scientific term. It's called the ivory tower. It's called the ivory tower. Yeah. Now, this section, you have a high connection, but low vision. High connection, low vision. What do you have? High connection, low vision. What do you have? A community, yeah. Tradition, yeah, yeah. Your sheep, yeah, the animal, yeah. All right, yeah. That's a colorful description, I guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The actual word for this one is kumbaya, 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 kumbaya. You recognize those people. They have a team and they go far, far away and sit around the campfire. They're holding hands, singing kumbaya. And once they've done that, they return to their organization and still they don't have a vision. But they're good friends. Yeah, so that's what we call it kumbaya. Kumbaya. Yeah. And only when you got a high vision and a high connection, truly we talk about high performance. This is what we call high performance. High performance. Yep. Now, here is a question. Who of you is part of an organization or team or company, something bigger than yourself? Who of you? Some of you, okay, who did not understand this question? Who is alone, completely alone? I guess we're all part of something. Yeah, an organization, a team, community, whatever it is. Yeah? Now, I got a question to you. If you look at your organization, your team, the thing you're part of, in which of those 4 quadrants are you? Are you stuck? Are you in the ivory tower? Are you kumbaya? Or are you high performance? Yeah, so question to you. Thinking of an organization, a place, a part, a team you're part of, where are you? In which of the 4 quadrants? Yeah? And once you got an answer to that one, not scientific, but big one, yeah, you may discuss this with your neighbor. A quick discussion. I think we are there and this is why. Yeah, so first of all, where are you? And the second question is why? Yeah, so pick a quadrant, this is where we are, and then have a quick discussion with your neighbor. I think this is where we are and this is why. Yeah, so go ahead, have a quick talk with your neighbor. Yeah, where are you and why? Go ahead. All right. All right. Let's return to the main stage. Let us return to the main stage. A quick conversation of where you are. Okay, here's my question. Who of you said high performance? Yes, that's where we are. Yep. Few people in high performance. Okay, excellent. Who of you said ivory tower? This is typically where we operate. Ivory tower. Yeah, some ivory tower people here. Who says kumbaya? That's typically where we are. Good people, drink a lot of beer. Excellent. Manovision. Yeah, kumbaya. Okay. And I guess the rest is stuck. Yeah? Or of course you did not understand the question. That's also possible. Yeah, the rest must be stuck or did not understand the question. Yeah? So we have some variation here of people who think, this is where we are. Now, if we talk about high performance, it doesn't really matter where you are. It doesn't really matter where you are. All that matters is where you're going to. Yeah, all that matters is where you're going to. If you are here in high performance, excellent. What can you do to become even better? Yeah, if you're here and stuck, what can you do to move to high performance? Yeah, so all that matters for tonight is not where you are, but matters is where you're going to. So, and if we talk about going to, who of you thinks, it would be helpful if we would have a little tool to develop a bit of vision? Develop a bit of vision, that would be helpful. Who thinks, yeah, a bit of vision, helpful? Yeah. And who of you thinks a little bit of connection, that would be helpful? Yeah. In our case, yeah. Vision and connection. Okay. I'll give you a tool, a quick tool, that will help you both enormously in vision and in connection. In vision and in connection. And for this tool, you need pen and paper. So preferably you got pen and paper, excellent. Yeah. And you need a blank sheet of paper and a speedy pen. A blank sheet of paper and a speedy pen. That's what you need for the little exercise. Yep. Blank sheet of paper, a speedy pen. Yep. And what we're going to do a little exercise, and this exercise will take 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Yeah? Going to do a little exercise, 30 seconds, you need pen and paper for this exercise. Now, what I'd like you to think of is your team or your organization that you just evaluated, and that team and that organization. Keep that in mind, and here's my question. Here's my question. And again, you have 30 seconds to answer this question. Here's my question. What are the 3 most important goals of this team or this organization for 2017? So what are the 3 most important goals for this team or organization for 2017? You got 30 seconds to write it down. Please write it down. The 3 most important goals. $20 seconds. And stop. That was 30 seconds. So how was it? Great? Yeah? Easy? Yeah? Go. Yeah? Other reactions? Was it easy for everyone? No? For some of us a bit difficult? Yeah? Who was drawing a blank? I don't know. Yeah? Some of you, maybe? Yeah? Yeah. This is what we call the quick goal exercise. Quick goal exercise. And this is one of the most powerful exercises that you can do to gain clarity with any team, any organization, but also clarity for yourself. And the reason is the following. If I ask you to write down 3 goals for 2017, what you write down comes from the subconscious part of your brain. It comes from the subconscious part of your brain. The part of your brain which operates 24 hours a day in the background. Yeah. Because if I had asked you to write down 3 goals and send me an email a week from now, you would have engaged the conscious part of your brain. Your thinking part of the brain. And that's the part of your brain which will think about goals and goes to spreadsheets and strategy documents and talks to other people and, whoa, this must be the 3 goals. Yeah? That's a different part of your brain. What you wrote down is in the subconscious part of your brain. Now here's the rule. The rule is very simple. The rule is what's on the subconscious part of your brain is what you're focused on. What's in the subconscious part of your brain is what you're focused on. That determines your focus. So whatever you wrote down is what you're focused on this moment. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you look at what you wrote down, you think to yourself, that is magnificent. Those are 3 worthy goals. Then excellent. You're focused on the right things. But if you wrote down something and you look at it and you say, you know, I might put some work in it to make it better. This is probably a good moment to start doing that. And you know when it is in the subconscious part of your brain, whenever we do this exercise, of course, you write down 3 goals and you say, yep, these are the 3 goals I love to have. Then you know it's in the subconscious part of your brain. The other way of knowing it is the 2 o'clock in the night test. And what is the 2 o'clock in the night test? That is very simple. You sleep, you are sound asleep, not in the bar, no, sound asleep. Yeah? I wake you up. And I ask you, what are your 3 most important goals for 2017? And if at that moment you can tell me, these are my 3 goals, and those are the 3 goals, then you got it. It's in the subconscious part of your brain. Yeah? So it's a 2 o'clock test. Now for volunteers who would like me to do that for you, raise your hand, happy to do that. Yeah? Yeah, there we go, 1 volunteer. Okay, excellent. Yeah. Subconscious part of your brain, very important. Yeah? Now, this exercise often reveals the thing which is truly important for you. Because sometimes I work with groups and I do this little exercise and they tell me, listen, we focus on the world and the planet and the people. And I do this exercise and the only thing they can write down is money, money, money. Yeah. And that's revealing. And the reason is that the week before, they almost were declaring bankrupt. And of course, money is very important. Yeah, so this reveals what you're truly focused on. Yeah? Very powerful little exercise. Now, what's another application of this exercise? Again, who of you works in a team? With other people? Yeah? Who of you sometimes has meetings with those people? Yeah? Who of you has an agenda for that meeting? Oh, this is what we want to do. Yeah, we have that too. Yeah. Here, next time, I got a little idea for you. Instead of your standard boring agenda. Boring. No, do something differently. Say, okay, let's not start with agenda point number 1, let's start with agenda point number 0. And what you need for agenda point number 0 is pen and paper. And we do a little exercise. And this is a 30-second exercise, and I'm going to ask you a question. And the question will be, okay, what are the 3 most important goals for this team for 2017? Please write them down, 30 seconds. And once people have written it down, then you start comparing notes. See what they wrote down. Isn't that interesting? And I can imagine you have 2 scenarios there. One scenario, everyone writes down the same goals in the same order, the same language. Good to go. And I guess that you're operating in a high-performance team, if that happens. And who of you thinks that is probably the scenario that you will encounter in your team? Yep. That's probably what we're going to see. Anyone? No, probably you will see something else. Probably you will see all kind of goals all over the place. True? Yeah? If that happens, that is the moment that you need to have the conversation. Yes, and the conversation starts with a question. And the question is, okay, what are we trying to achieve here anyway? What are we trying to achieve here anyway? And until and unless you've had that conversation, where people say, yep, this is what we try to achieve, and these are our goals, until and unless you have that conversation, you cannot have a high-performance team. You cannot have a high-performance team. Yeah, so you need to agree on the goal, and everyone needs to be on board. To illustrate that, have you ever seen a group of 4-year-old children playing soccer? Who's ever seen that one? 4-year-old children playing soccer. What do you see? What do you see? 4-year-old children playing soccer. What do you see? A mess. Yeah. What happens? Are they clustered around the ball? Ah. What happens when something plane goes by? Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Do they have the same goal? Probably not. Well, they want to have fun, that's for sure, but fun might be a different definition for each of the players. Yeah? When they grow 8 years old, it's much better. Then they start to operate as a team. Yeah? But there's a message here, and the message here is, if you want to achieve success, clarity is very important. And clarity means that you rally around the same goals. If you do not rally around the same goals, it's very difficult to achieve success. And the quick goal exercise is a perfect way of making sure that everyone is on the same page. And only if everyone is on the same page, you can truly move to high performance. Make sense? Make sense? Questions? Questions? Very important. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'll repeat the question. At what phase of the team, forming, norming, storming, would you recommend doing this? At the earliest stage possible. That's where I would do it the first time. Yeah? Okay, what are we trying to achieve here? What does success of this team look like? Very important question. And then when you move to different phases, I would continue to do this exercise to make sure you are on the same page, you are aligned. Are we still talking about the same goals here? Yeah, because things can change, especially in a team. Yeah, so at the beginning, what does success of this team look like? And in the different phases, whenever you feel like, do it again and see if you're aligned. Make sense? Okay, yeah, right. Other questions around clarity? Very simple exercise. It takes you 30 seconds. Yeah, if you've got a high performance team, after 30 seconds, it's confirmed. If you do not have a high performance team, probably it will take you a couple of hours to have the conversation. But this is a critical thing you need to do. What is it that we're trying to achieve here anyway? Yeah? Now, here's the second tip around clarity, and that's a personal tip for yourself. If you want to become a goal achiever, and the fastest way of doing it is the following. Every morning and every evening, take a blank sheet of paper and write down your 10 most important goals. The 10 most important goals which you want to achieve 6 months to a year from now. I want, I live, I have, etc., etc., etc. As if you already achieved those goals. Yeah? Do this every morning, do this every evening, without looking back at what you wrote earlier. Twice a day. And what is going to happen is, after about 30 days, you will start writing down the same goals in the same order, with the same language, over and over again. That's the first thing that's going to happen. The second thing which is going to happen is, all of a sudden, you start to make progress on at least 80% of those goals, as if it all goes by itself, as if you are sitting in a speedy bullet train. Second thing which is going to happen. And the reason is the following. This is the most powerful exercise that I know to put your goals into the subconscious part of your brain. And once they are in the subconscious part of your brain, all of a sudden you start to become aware of people, ideas and circumstances which will help you to achieve your goal. There's a question here. 6 months to 1 year. 6 months to 1 year. Yeah? So don't write down goal is to have lunch today. Probably not a good goal. That's an activity. But 6 months to 1 year. Yeah.
What was the time period you set for the exercise?
In the morning and evening.
Just but no set a minute.
No time period until you're finished. It will go faster and faster every single day. First day is 10 goals. Difficult. Is that a goal? Yeah, that's a goal. Okay. But it will evolve in time. Yeah. Morning, evening.
Like you're still doing this exercise?
Yes. Yeah, I got a little notebook with goals. And here's the fascinating thing. Sometimes I look back at my previous notebooks like 3 or 4 years ago and say, wow, achieved. Now here's the secret. If you got goals which you haven't achieved, a couple of things can happen. First of all, it might not be your goal. It might be someone else's goal. So you're not really passionate about it anyway. The second thing is it might be a goal that you cannot influence. You have to be very careful there. Because if you write down, I'm going to win the lottery, that is a hope. Yeah, and that's not a goal. Yeah, so don't go there. And that's the thing. Yeah? And the third thing is it might be so stretched. It might be so stretched that your mind still cannot wrap itself around the concept. So it's too far ahead, and then you need to have a sub-goal, something in between. Yeah, very important. Yeah. So did I answer your question? Your question was, do I do it myself? Yes, I do it, and I look back and wow, look what I've achieved, and look what I haven't achieved, and as a matter of fact, I didn't care about it anyway. So that's very important. Yeah. Other questions?
Do you write down every day or just 1 month in a year?
Every single day.
Every day.
Yeah, every single day. It takes me 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. It's an investment of 10 minutes. It's probably the best investment of 10 minutes in every single day I have right now. Yeah, the best 10 minutes ever. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there also things in your private life? Let's say I have to not to forget making buy something for my wife or something.
Yeah. Usually it's a mix of private things and professional things and personal things. Yeah, so because you have a life which is a combination of the two, so it's very difficult to separate those two for yourself personally. So I have 10 goals which are both professional and personal. Now the good news is if you look at those 10 goals and all of those goals are professional, you also know, I might need to shift a little bit. If all those goals are personal, you also might say, I need to shift a little bit. And so it helps you to be a bit aligned and in tune with the outside world. Yeah? Again, it's the most powerful exercise that I know to bring goals into the subconscious part of your brain. The response I get from people whenever I give this little exercise, and I usually give it whenever I talk, is not that it doesn't work. The response I usually get is it works much faster than they could ever imagine. Yeah? So it's a 10-minute investment for each of you. It can change your life. Again, the world doesn't change. What happens is you change because your interaction with the world becomes different if you do this. If something in the subconscious part of your brain, all of a sudden, you start to recognize people, ideas, and circumstances that can help you to achieve your goal. It's a very interesting phenomenon. I'll give you an example. Who of you likes gadgets, like phones or something like that? Yeah. And maybe you recognize this scenario. One day you wake up and you decide, I am going to buy a new gadget. And this is going to be the make and the model and the color and the apps, etc., etc., etc. And once you have it in your mind, you're absolutely certain that you must be the most unique individual in the world. No one has a gadget like that. True? What happens once you got this image in your mind? What happens? It's true for you. But what happens with the gadget? You think you are unique, but all of a sudden, what do you see? It's everywhere. Yes. Did they unload the ship? No. All of a sudden, you become aware of the stuff. You become aware of the stuff. This is how awareness works. This is how your focus works. Your subconscious part of the brain determines your focus. And once you start to become aware of your goals, all of a sudden, you will see people, ideas, and circumstances that will help you to achieve your goals. Simple as that. Simple brain science 101. The world doesn't change, but the way you interact with the world, that changes. Yeah, makes sense? Clarity, very important. Very important. So what we have discussed is, if we talk about clarity, having a vision, having a connection, very important. And the 30 seconds exercise is a powerful exercise for yourself, but also for your team. The other powerful exercise is the 10 goal exercise. Yeah. And this is the fastest way to get clarity and achieve big goals.
Maybe it's strange, but no 11 rules, just 10.
Here's the thing, you can have some flexibility there. My bias is always 10. I like 10, round number, you know. But sometimes people tell me I wrote down 12. Works fine, good for you. I would not advise 25. Here's the rule. And the reason is that somehow the brain can manage a certain amount of goals, and after that it becomes a bit fuzzy. And it seems the tipping point is 12, 13, 14, maybe something like that. The other side of the coin is don't write down three goals, because you need to give your brain something to chew on, and 3 is not enough. Yeah, your brain is much smarter than that. Yeah, so I like 10. Yeah, so stick to 10. Yeah. I'm sorry. What do you do with the blank paper? I got a little notebook with my goals, and every day I take a new page. No, don't look, because then you simply rewrite what you wrote this morning. No, it must come from the subconscious part of your brain. Yeah? Yeah. So don't rewrite, but simply top of your head. Yeah. All right, goals, clarity, very important. Now that's one building block. One building block of high performance goal achieving is clarity, being very clear about what you want to achieve. The second building block is focus. Second building block is focus. And the reason is that there are a million ways to achieve your goals, but only a few ways are fun and energetic and easy. And today we are after achieving easy goals. Yeah, so focus is very important. Focus is the second building block of achieving big goals. And to understand focus, what we need to understand is a concept. It's called the Valley of Death. The Valley of Death. Is anyone familiar with the Valley of Death? The Valley of Death. Anyone familiar? Yeah? So one person is familiar? Okay, good. Yeah? Okay, Valley of Death. Here's the Valley of Death. The Valley of Death describes what happens with your energy and enthusiasm between setting a goal in your head and achieving that goal in the real world. Because something is happening. Yeah? And this is what happens with your energy and enthusiasm. Because this is the energy, and this is time. The first moment you set a goal, oh, this is cool, then your energy is high. This is so cool. Yes, if I could achieve that, that would be wonderful. And then you start to talk to other people, and they will tell you this is a magnificent goal. So your energy goes even higher. And then you start to work. And progress is slow, and people make fun of you, and at a certain point in time, you reach a plateau, an energy plateau. It's a long slug to the marshes. Yeah, that happens. Yeah. But only at the end, when your success becomes inevitable, your energy and enthusiasm will go, whoa, through the roof. And this curve, it starts over here and ends in this little valley, but goes through the roof. It's called the Valley of Death. It's called the Valley of Death. And the reason is that here, in this plateau, millions of great ideas and initiatives have died. Yes, it's a sad story. It's the graveyard of ambition. Yeah, it's the graveyard of ambition. Now the key question is, of course, how come? How is that possible? How is it possible that when we are here, all of a sudden our great goals, they die? How come? And it has got something to do with what we call procrastination. Procrastination. Does anyone know what procrastination is? What is procrastination?
Well, I'm really good at it, but it's where you don't do something right now. It's, do that later.
Do it later. Yeah. Here's my definition of procrastination. Here's my definition. Knowing that you need to do something, not doing it, and feeling miserable about it. That's procrastination. Yeah? Not for you, of course, but others who should be here. Those are procrastinators. Yeah, procrastinating. You know you need to do something, you're not doing it, and you're feeling miserable about it. And the key question for today is, of course, how come? Because you need to overcome procrastination if you want to cross the valley of death and achieve big, ambitious goals. So how come? Where does it come from? And to understand where it comes from, we need to dive a little bit deeper in our human brain. In our human brain. Now, the human brain is probably the most complicated thing that we know in the universe. But still, what we've learned from the brain in the past 10 years, it's more than what we've learned in the hundreds of years before. But still, we barely understand how it works. So, what do scientists, whenever they don't understand how things work? You're a scientist, so tell me, what do you do? If you don't know how it works, what do you do? Say that again? You Google it. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah. And the lazy scientist approach. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, okay. Google. Yeah. So we Google our brain. Okay, excellent. Yeah. There was another idea. And you said experiment? Something, yeah, experiment. Yeah, experiment. That's also what scientists do, at least the good ones. Yeah. What else? What else do scientists do whenever they don't understand how things work? Take a walk. Yeah. Yeah, the athletic ones, they take a walk. Asking questions, yeah, that's also a good one. Yeah, they think that's what you hope what scientists do often. Yeah, they observe. Yeah, that's also what they do. Yeah, here's the secret. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you break up the problem and then try to find the origin. That's a very smart scientist. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's also true. Here's the secret. Yeah, secret of all scientists. If they haven't got a clue how it works, they simply make a model. Yes, we make a model. Yeah, because a model, by definition, is a simplified representation of how things work. Yeah. In other words, if you see a model, then probably you can be assured that the people haven't got a clue how it works either. So that's good news. All of you. Yeah, easy. So they also have models of the brain, the human brain. And one model says, actually, our brain, the human brain, consists of 3 different brains. One brain is a lizard brain, a reptilian brain. Second brain is a mammalian brain. And the third brain is a neocortex, yeah, also known as the thinking brain. The reptilian brain, what does it want? Survive. Create. Yeah. Survive. Your reptilian brain hates risk and uncertainty. It hates it. And the ideal world for your reptilian brain is something that yesterday is exactly the same as today, and that today is exactly the same as tomorrow. That is heaven for your lizard brain. Yeah? Heaven. Now, on the opposite side of the brain spectrum, you have the neocortex, also known as the thinking brain. And brain scientists compare that part of the brain to the crazy uncle you sometimes encounter on family parties. Because that's the part of your brain which wants to do cool stuff. That's the part of your brain which wants to do bungee jumping and skydiving and having an academic career. That's your neocortex. Yeah. And here's the thing, by definition, in order to do all this cool stuff, you have to embrace risk and uncertainty. And that's exactly what your lizard brain doesn't want to do. So this causes tension, and this tension is what the brain scientists call the war in heaven, the war between your 2 brains, the lizard on the one hand and the neocortex on the other hand, the war in heaven. And it plays out every single minute of the day for each of us. Now, to illustrate how this plays out, I'm going to do a little experiment. Are you all my guinea pigs right now? Trust me, I'm a trained professional. You know what I'm doing. Yeah? But what I'd like you to do is to think of a song. Think of a song. That can be a children's song or a Christmas song or heavy metal. That's all fine. But think of a song. Yeah? Think of a song. We all got a song. We all have a song. Yes? Yes? Okay, excellent. I'd like you to rise. Please rise. Stand up. Hand up. Let's shake hands and feet. Please rise. Yep. All right. Everyone rises. Excellent. Good. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to count till 5. Count till 5. And at 5, I'm going to ask one of you to come up front here and sing your song as loudly and powerfully as possible. Right? Right? So I'm going to count till 5. At 5, I'm going to ask one of you to come up front and make sure you don't the stairs, come up front here, and sing your song as loudly and powerfully as possible. Right? Yep. Okay. If you want to change your song, this is probably a good moment to do it. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can all sit down. This was the end of the experiment. Please sit down. So here's my question. How do you feel? How do you feel? Relieved. Yeah. Let me guess what your heartbeat is doing. Yeah. And if you feel the palms of your hand, they are very sweaty. Yeah. And if you look into the eyes of your neighbor, they are very big. Yeah. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the famous flight or fight response. In other words, your lizard brain is dumping adrenaline into your body, more ready to fight or flight. And for some of us, this is literally true. Because some of you probably would have thought, okay, if he asks me to come up front here, I'll be out of there. Yeah. Flight response. Yeah. Or hit me in the face. Yes. Fight response. Yeah. I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. Hit him. Yeah. Fight or flight response. Yeah. But here's the other thing. And this is an interesting phenomenon. For some of us, there's something else going on. There's a tiny little voice that tells something like, actually, I am a very good singer. Yes. Yeah. I've been practicing in the shower for the past 10 years. And this could be my opportunity to show this group what a great talent I have. Holland Got Talent, here we come. Yeah? Now, this little voice, for some of us it's very, very, very small, but for others it's significant. This little voice is your neocortex whispering in your ear. Wow, here's an opportunity. Yeah? Now, for some is not there, no. But for others it was significant. Now, what this shows is what happens with the lizard brain and the neocortex. Now, why is this important for us? If we want to achieve big goals, we have to overcome our lizard brain, because it's the lizard brain which stops us. And this is what you need to know about your lizard brain. Your lizard brain is the oldest brain that you have. It was there first. And because it is the oldest brain, it has been granted veto power over your body. Yeah. In other words, if it believes you're going to do something stupid and risky, it will literally pull the plug. And you see that sometimes. And when people need to give a speech to a big group of people, they come and they look the people in the eye and the lizard brain simply pulls the plug. And you can't stop that. Well, it's not entirely true. 2 ways of stopping it. Two. One is drugs, and the second one is alcohol. Yeah. Drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Yes, drugs and alcohol. Very effective. Yeah. Now, here's the problem. Regardless of your goals that you wrote down, probably drugs and alcohol did not play a big part in achieving those goals. So we need to find something else. And there we come to the biggest secret of unstoppable goal achievers, because they have found a cunning strategy to overcome the lizard brain. They found a cunning strategy to overcome the lizard brain. And this is what they know. They know that your lizard brain loves to quit. Your lizard brain loves to quit. It is your natural quitter. And some of you might recognize this. It's January 1st, and you decide this year is going to be the year in which I really get back into shape. So you buy the clothes, get the membership, ready to go. And day number 1, yes, 1 hour. Day number 2, another hour. Day number 3, almost an hour. Day number 4, half an hour. Day number 5, it's too difficult, I quit. And this is your lizard brain. It whispers in your ear. Go back. Back to where you belong. You can't make it anyway. Go back. Heaven was here. That's your lizard brain. Yeah. So if you want to achieve big, audacious goals, by definition you have to overcome your lizard brain. Now, how do they do that? How do unstoppable goal achievers do that? Now, and they know a little secret. Because they know that the lizard brain loves to quit, while they're crossing the valley of death, they give it stuff to quit. They feed the crocodile. That's what they do. And this is a concept, we call it strategic quitting. Strategic quitting. And it's a very important concept, the essence of high performance in any organization, able to achieve big goals. Yeah. And the concept here is the concept of the monkey bar. Who of you knows what a monkey bar is? What's a monkey bar?
Little children's thing when you go one by one on the runs.
Yeah, correct.
Week to do it so you get stuck.
Yeah, correct. It's something you are hanging in the air, horizontal bars, and you have to move from bar to bar. That's a monkey bar. Yeah? And it's typically a toy of children. You see it in children playgrounds often, monkey bar. And what those children learn, is a very important lesson. They learn is you have to let go in order to reach out. You have to let go in order to reach out. And that's the essence of strategic quitting. You have to let go in order to reach out. Yeah? Letting go of stuff. And the reason is, if you want to achieve big goals, by definition, you have to travel as light as possible. Now, the key question for us today is strategic quitting. How can you apply it? How can you apply it in your own world? It's a nice concept, but is there something that I can do to do strategic quitting? And here's the good news. For any of us, there are only 3 ways to strategically quit stuff. Only 3 ways. One is to delegate. The second one is to eliminate. And the third thing is to outsource. There are only 3 ways of strategic quitting. One is to delegate. The second one is to eliminate. And the third one is to outsource. Only 3 ways. Now let me focus a little bit on each of these 3. What is that you can do? How can you apply this? Delegation. Who knows what delegation is? Delegation. What is delegation? Yep, tell me.
Tell someone else to do it?
Tell someone else to do it. Yeah. What you just described is management. Yeah, it's not delegation, it's management. It's good, but it's not what I meant. What is delegation? Delegation is something else. Delegation means to give something which is work for you to someone else for whom it is play. Give something which is work for you to someone else for whom it is play. That's delegation. I'll give an example. I used to work in an environment that had an IT system. It was called SAP. Ever heard of SAP? No? Bless you. Good. It's a horrible little thing. Yeah. And every time I needed to do something, it took me hours. Dreadful. But in my team, I had someone who was very good at SAP. And what took me 2 days to do, she could do in 2 minutes. So delegation was easy. She would do all my SAP work, and in exchange, I would build cool spreadsheets, because that's what I like to do. And that's delegation. Delegation means something which is work for you, give it to someone else for whom it is play. Yeah? It's the essence of high-performance teams. They're only working on the things that they like to do. It's play for them. Delegation. Delegation. Now you might think, well, there are things that I do that no one likes to do. It's possible. Yeah, in my world, there are things no one likes to do. You couldn't be more wrong. And the reason is that we all wire differently. And because we all wire differently, there are things that people love to do which you hate to do, and vice versa. I'll give you a data point that will give you some perspective here. At this moment in the Netherlands, there are over 500 people who are studying to become a dentist. Think about that. Yes. Let that sink in for a moment. 500 people who voluntarily said, well, that sounds like a cool job. Having those people open their mouth and me with a drill and blood all over the place in my face. I love to make this my profession. Yeah, voluntary. So what it proves is that we all wire differently. Yeah? So delegation can be done. Yeah? Now, how do you do delegation? And I'm going to give you a little exercise for that. What I would like you to do is to stand up and find a partner. So partner A, partner B. So two, people of two, especially someone you do not know really well. So stand up and find a partner, pairs of two, A and B. Go ahead, stand up. Please rise, find a partner. Yeah, standing up. Especially you do not, someone you do not know very well, go ahead, stand up. Little exercise, go ahead. How do you do delegation? Have we all found a partner? Have you all found a partner? Are there any lonely people here? No lonely people? Okay, excellent. No lonely people, yeah. Because if we got two lonely people, we got a pair, so that's good. Yeah. All right. Partner A is the one with the biggest shoe size. So please look at your shoe size. And the one with the biggest shoe size is partner A. Yep. All right? Okay. Okay. Partner A, this is what I want you to do. I would like you to take your right arm and make a strong fist. Make a powerful fist. Don't hit your partner. That's not what I ask you. Just make a fist. Yep. Don't make a fist. Okay. This is the job of partner B. This is the job of partner B. The job of partner B is to open the fist of partner A. But before we get started, there are 3 rules, very important. Rule number 1, you're only allowed to use one hand. One hand, yeah? Rule number 2, you're not allowed to tickle. No. No. Don't go there. No, don't go there. Yeah? And rule number 3, you're not allowed to use any sharp objects. So please don't go. Yeah? Yeah? So 3 rules, only one hand, don't tickle, and don't use any sharp objects. So please open the hand of your partner, and once it's done, please raise your hand. Go ahead. If you got it, then raise your hand. If you got it, please raise your hand. Okay, there's one. Yes, the first one is there. Second one. Yeah, okay, excellent. Done. Yeah. Yeah. Open the fist. Go ahead. Yeah, another one. Okay, excellent. Yes, right. Yeah, there. Okay. Right. You may stop this little experiment if you haven't opened the fist yet. Right. Okay. Please stop the experiment before we get hurt. All right, you may stop now. There was a group which was very fast. You two over there. What did you do?
I just asked them.
You asked. What a great concept. Brilliant. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I already gave it away. I said you were partners. Remember? You were partners, remember? Yeah, ooh. Right. Yeah, you can sit now. Dano, please sit down. Yeah. All right. So, here is a simple rule for delegation. Here's a simple rule for delegation. You simply ask. And the question you need to ask is, what is it that you actually like to do? Your team members, what is it that you actually like to do? And you might be surprised by the answers that you will get. Do you like to do this? Wow, that's amazing, because then I got a job for you. Yeah? So simply ask. Simply ask.
But is it not, especially for young people, also important to do things you do not like?
That's the second one, yeah. Here's the question, is it for young people not important to do the things yet you do not like? It's always important to do the things you do not like, yeah? To see if you start liking it. Because you might not like it because you have never done it. So I advise always do it. But at a certain point in time, if you simply don't find the passion, you find it boring, then there's no hope. So simply delegate. Yeah? So test until you say, nothing here, then go further. Yeah? We talk about it in outsourcing as well, how to deal with that. Yeah, make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
Delegation is about asking. Simply ask. And that's the base of high performance teams. They know exactly the strength, they ask. And then they look at how to deal with it. Yeah, and how to do it as high performance teams. Here's the second rule of delegation. The second rule of delegation is the following. You will have no problem to get what you want in life if you first give others what they want in life. You will have no problem to get what you want in life if you first give others what they want in life. And the reason is that life is more like a Chinese takeaway than a Michelin star restaurant. Life is more like a Chinese takeaway than a Michelin star restaurant. Because what you do in a Michelin star restaurant, you go to the restaurant, you eat, and then you pay. What you do at the Chinese takeaway, you go to the restaurant, you pay, and then you eat. Yeah? Different sequence. And sometimes people are a bit confused. They're standing in front of the vending machine. They say, give me this bag of chips, and then I put in a coin. But life doesn't work that way. So what does it mean? It means if you want to do delegation effectively, the fastest way to get delegation done is to tell others what you like to do and tell them, do you have work for me? And once you start getting work from others, you can give work to other people as well. That's the essence of delegation, high performance. Make sense? Yeah. So 2 rules, simply understand what people like to do and then start to get work first, and then at a certain point in time you can give work. But only get work that you like to do anyway. Yeah. Delegation. The second strategy for strategic quitting is elimination. Elimination. And elimination is based on the idea that the worst use of your time is not to do things inefficiently. But the worst use of your time is to do things which shouldn't be done in the first place. To become excellent in something irrelevant. That's a bad use of time. Excellent in something irrelevant. Yeah. Elimination. And for elimination you can apply a couple of rules to eliminate stuff. Who of you, there's a question here. How do you determine when something is irrelevant? Okay, the answer is very simple. It is determined by your project list. If you got your top 10 goals, yeah, then in principle everything which doesn't help you to achieve your goals can be eliminated. Yeah, very simple rule. So look at your goals, and everything which doesn't help you to achieve your goals, well, let's eliminate. Yeah. Make sense? Yeah. It's a radical solution. Yeah. Here's the thing. You can look at it from that perspective. Elimination. Couple of rules for elimination. Practical tools for elimination. Who of you suffers from meetings? Yeah, we have a lot of meetings. Yeah? Meetings. We do sometimes meetings. Yeah. For those of you with meetings, there's a law. It's called Parkinson's law. Who is familiar with Parkinson's law? Yeah, what is Parkinson's law? The task will be done in the time that it's been put on it, and that's exactly Parkinson's law. In other words, a task will last the time you set apart to do the task. In other words, if you set apart to meet for 1 hour, then the meeting will last 1 hour. That's the way it works, regardless of the fact if the objectives of the meeting have been achieved within 10 minutes. Doesn't matter, you will continue to meet. Here's Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says cut the time to do a task. In other words, if you got a meeting of 1 hour, next time do the same meeting in half an hour, and what you will see is that you will get the same results or even better in half of the time. That's Parkinson's law.
What do you do with that?
Yeah. I repeat your question. Some people love to stay 2 hours while something could be done in 10 minutes. Yeah. Eliminate those people. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you need to be on the top.
No. What I mean with elimination is avoid them, like the plague. Yeah. Don't. The trick is that is the trick. The trick is to surround yourself with people who don't think like that. And if people start to bother you and waste your time, invite them to other people who bother you and waste your time, so they can waste their time together. Yeah. So get yourself out of the loop. That would be my advice. Yeah. But yeah, it's difficult. But be radical. Yeah. Be radical, and I'll explain to you later why you need to be radical, especially about time, and I'll talk about outsourcing, but you need to be radical. Elimination. Yeah? Again, the reason that you do elimination is not because it's fun and easy and the reason is you got big goals and you need to cross the valley of death, and if you want to cross the valley of death, you need every ounce of energy that you got. So you cannot allow yourself wasters, time wasters, and nagging people who love to spend time with you but not productive. Can't do that. Unless you want to, fine. Yeah? But you have to cross the valley of death. And that's a big and daunting task. Yeah? So, that's elimination. Yeah? Parkinson's law. Cut it in half. Yeah? Other application of Parkinson's law is task to time. Task to time. And what task to time means is whenever you have a task, set a time apart to do the task, and regardless of what happens, deliver at the time it is you set. So if you have to write a report, set aside 3 hours, and regardless of what you have, after 3 hours, the report is ready. Done. Ship. Get it out. Task to time. The reason is, that's another rule, the reason is the 80-20 rule. Does anyone know the 80-20 rule? What is the 80-20 rule? Yeah. Yeah. 80% of the results will come from 20% of the time, and vice versa is 80% of the time is spent on 20% of the results. Yeah? So, yeah. In other words, if you talk about the 80-20 rule, 80% of the work you do is simply fluff, irrelevant. It's fitting. It doesn't add any value. It's only the 20% which is truly adding value. And that's the 80-20 rule. That's the 80-20 rule. So try to eliminate the fluff. And you can eliminate the fluff by moving to 80%, and when you're 80%, you're ready. Because the remaining 20% which you need to be done is seldom adding any value. And it costs a lot of time. And so it's a practical way of elimination. Yeah, go ahead. I mean with irrelevant, the question is, hey, 80% of the time you need to debug and things like that, so it is not irrelevant. What I mean with irrelevant is that the time you spend, those 80% of the time, to do the remaining 20% is relevant for the result that you want to achieve. It adds value, but the value is very, very, very small. Yeah? So for a customer or for a subject you work for, the remaining 20% is seldom relevant for the task. Yeah? Unless, of course, you program for airplanes where it needs to be perfect. Yeah, then you got an exception. But I guess no one is in that field right now. Yeah? But for in our field, my experience, well, if you're 80% done, you ship. You're done with it. The remaining 20% seldom adds much value to the experience of the user. My experience. No doubt there are exceptions, but if you use this to do 80% of your work, probably you already have a lot of things eliminated. Yeah? Elimination. Okay? So delegate, eliminate, and the third one is outsourcing. Outsourcing. And the most important number for outsourcing is the number 1440. Does anyone know what this number represents? 1440. It's the most important number in life. And no one knows. Nobody knows. Yeah, no, okay, yeah. This is the amount of minutes in a day. Yeah, it's the amount of minutes in a day. Yeah. And it is connected to time. Time. Amount of minutes in a day connected to time. And the reason is that the most important resource that you have is time. The most important resource that you have is time. It's not money, it's not knowledge, it's not people you know. No, it's time. It's time. And here's why. You cannot save time. You cannot stop time. You cannot get more of time. And every day you start with the same amount of time. That's the practical application. The philosophical application is at the end of your life, when everything is said and done, and they do the eulogy, and they say how wonderful you have been. At that point, you can have a lot of things left, but the only thing that is gone is time. Yeah. So time is the most important resource that we have. Most important resource that we have. So if we talk about outsourcing, it is about what we call the highest and best use of time. Highest and best use of time. So how can we make best use of the time that we have? Highest and best use of time. And typically, if you talk about highest and best use of time, those are activities which have three building blocks. First of all, you are skilled, you're competent doing the activity. The second thing, you are passionate about the activity. And the third thing, it creates value for others. Skill, passion, and value. Those are the three building blocks of what we call the highest and best use of time. And you need all three. Because if you're skilled, you're passionate, but you don't create value, what do you have? Hobby, yeah. You have little trains in the attic, but probably it's not going to help you to achieve your goals. Huh? Yeah. And if you're skilled, you create value for others, but you have no passion, what do you have? A job, yes. Yeah. 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 Passionate people never talk about jobs. No. And if you're, so it's true, and if you're passionate, you create value for others, but you're not overly skilled, what are you? Stuck, yeah? Anyone else? A clown, yeah. Clowns, yeah, they usually have a lot of skills, but yeah. Amateur, yeah. I was with a group last week, they said, you must be a manager, they said that, yeah. Well, could be, who knows? Yeah. But you need all three. You need competence, you need passion, and you need creating value for others. Because every single goal that you write down somehow involves creating value for others. And that's your highest and best use of time. Now, the trick is, everything else, that can be outsourced. Be done by someone else. Be done by someone else. Yeah? And this is the element of outsourcing. And that's it. You can only delegate, you can only eliminate, you can only outsource. And the reason is that you need to strategically quit, you need to cross the valley of death. Letting go in order to reach out. Question?
What's the difference between delegate and outsource?
Delegation is usually done within a team or an organization. Outsourcing is usually done with a monetary transaction in mind. For instance, if you buy lunch, yeah, that's typically outsourcing, because you do not make your own lunch, you use your time in a different way. Yeah, so here we have internal in the team. Outsourcing is typically something you buy, or maybe barter, but usually you buy. So that's the difference between the two. Most of our clothes are outsourced. It's not the highest and best use of our time to make our own clothes, unless you, of course, you're a professional tailor. But maybe not everyone is a professional tailor. Yeah. Other question?
What does the 1440 mean again?
Minutes. The amount of minutes in a day. Amount of minutes in a day. Yeah. Every day consists of 40 and 40 minutes. So it's connected to time. Make sense? Make sense? Strategic quitting is the lifeblood of any organization, any team, any high performance individual, because you have to let go in order to reach out. You have to cross the valley of death. So here's my challenge to you. If we've been talking about strategic quitting, delegation, elimination, outsourcing, what can be one thing that you can start to quit strategically tomorrow? So what can be one thing that you can start to quit strategically tomorrow? And if you got one little thing, then discuss with your neighbor. This is what I can do. Strategically quit. Yeah? So think about one thing, write it down, and then discuss it with your neighbor. What can you strategically quit tomorrow? Yep. Go ahead. All right. All right. Let's return to the main floor. Let's return to the main floor. Here's a question to you. Here's a question to you. Is it nice to talk about quitting? Does it feel good?
Yes. I like
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the funny thing. Whenever organizations, teams, they talk about quitting. It feels good. It releases a lot of energy. Finally we can quit that stuff. Excellent. And it gives so much energy. So it's a great energy booster. A great energy booster to talk about what is that we're going to do, what is that we're going to strategically quit as tomorrow. Because the reason is we need to quit stuff in order to do new stuff. What has got me here will no longer get me there. Yeah, so it's a huge energy booster. Strategic quitting. Yeah. You don't feel it that way. In other words, you don't feel like quitting anything. Not really. Here's the thing you can do. Are you part of a team? Discuss it in your team. Do you feel like quitting? And it might be that the reaction can be very interesting because people might say, oh wow, yeah, if we can quit this, I can help you, etc., etc. So in other words, if you don't feel it yourself, then discuss it with your team. Is there anything you like to quit? And that might release a lot of energy. That's my experience. Yeah? And then they can help you to achieve your goal. Yeah? Okay? Let's go back. One more question.
Could it also be that if you don't have anything you want to quit, that everything you're doing is helping you reach your goal? Or is that not really?
If you don't have anything to quit and everything you're doing it helps you to achieve your goal. Yeah. Is that what you're asking? It's possible. It's possible. It can also be another thing, that is what I usually find, is that your goals are not specific enough. So you might have to do some additional thinking on making your goals very specific, because the more specific the goals, the more easy it is to do the quitting stuff. Yeah? Helpful? Okay. Yeah. This is what we've seen. We've seen the 3 building blocks: high performance, clarity, focus. Yeah? And we said the value of that, strategic quitting. Now the 3rd building block is execution. Getting it done. Getting it done. Because these are great ideas, but how do you get it done? Yeah, what is a good strategy of getting it done? And I give you one very powerful tool to move into execution mode. This will help you enormously. And that tool is called to eat your frog. To eat your frog. Eat your frog. Eat your frog. You know the little green thing that jumps? Yeah. Eat your frog. Now, what is eating your frog? Eating your frog is a metaphor. And the metaphor is the following: is if every single morning, every single day, you start with eating your frog, then once you've done that, the rest of the day will be fun and easy. Because to eat your frog is probably the worst thing you can imagine to do that day. So everything else that day which comes at you, it's fun and easy. Yeah, so it will give you an enormous energy and productivity boost. Now the metaphor here is the following. Eat your frog is to do the thing that you dislike most. Start your day doing the thing that you dislike most. And that's your frog. And if you do that, 2 things happen. The first thing is going to happen is, once you do that, if you have done the thing that you dislike most, the rest of the day will be fun and easy, so you'll boost your productivity to unknown heights. And there's a second reason, and that might be even more important. And the second reason is that it is your frog which often prevents you from achieving your goals. Because the frog is the obstacle in the valley of death. And if every single day you start by smashing through this obstacle, by eating your frog, this is the way to cross the valley of death. To eat your frog. It's a very powerful habit. Spend the first half hour, maybe hour of every single day to do the thing which you hate most. Because that's the thing that you need to cross the valley of death. Eat your frog. Make it a habit. And the second thing which is important here is don't stare at the frog. No. What happens if you stare at the frog? Yeah, it only grows bigger. Yeah, you have to jump into the mouth of the tiger. Every single morning. You have to jump into the mouth of the tiger. Now here's the good news. If you hang on to this habit for about 21 days, on day 22 it's yours. So if you want to build a new habit, for instance, to eat your frog, hang on to the new habit for 21 days in a row, every single day. On day 22, it's yours. This is the way we build habits. Yeah, hanging on for 21 days. This is the way you probably have built other healthy habits. Who of you brushes his or her teeth? I hope most of you are. Otherwise, your neighbor is unhappy, I guess. Yeah. Now think about, how did you learn how to brush your teeth? How did you learn how to brush your teeth? Think about it. And I can tell you how I learned how to brush my teeth. I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and at a certain point in time, my mother came to me and said, Paul, you need to brush your teeth. And I looked at my mom and said, I don't want to brush my teeth. Brush your teeth. Okay. Day number 2, brush your teeth. I don't. Day number 3. Until day number 22. Where all of a sudden, I said spontaneously, Mama, can I brush my teeth? Yeah. So hang on to a new habit for 21 days. Day 22, it's yours. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you skip 1 day, the counter goes back to 0. Yeah, so don't skip. Correct. Correct. Then make small daily habits that will support the weekly habit. So what can you do to make very small habits that support the overall day, the weekly habit? Yeah. So that's a little bit the trick. A week is too long. It's very difficult to build, hang on for 21 weeks and then no, it's not that work. Yeah. So make it a daily habit. That's very important. Yeah. Okay. So execution is eat your frog. So what we have seen in the past hour or so, a couple of things. First of all, if we talk about high performance, it's a razor's edge. If you want to double your results, you do not have to become twice as good. You only need to become a little bit better in a few things that matter. That's the first thing that we saw. Then the second thing that we saw is, what are the few things that matter? First is clarity. This is where I want to be, vision versus connection. And think about the 30-second exercise. And also the 10-goal exercise. The second thing that we saw is focus. There are a million ways to achieve your goals, only a few ways are fun and easy. And what you need to understand is that you have to cross the valley of death. You have to overcome your lizard brain. And the way to overcome your lizard brain is to let go in order to reach out. Strategic quitting, delegation, elimination, outsourcing. Yeah. And then the third thing that we saw is how to build habits, how to build high performance habits. The most important high performance habits that I know is to eat your frog. Jump into the mouth of the tiger. Very important habit. If you build it, you will see that you will cross the valley of death. Now, before I wrap up, I open the floor. Any questions at that point? Any questions about high performance?
A little bit on the link between your lizard brain and strategic quitting. How do you, like, I don't see the link that much. I understand that it helps productivity, but I don't see the link.
Yeah, the question here is, can you emulate the link between the lizard brain and strategic quitting? The link is the following. Your lizard brain loves to quit. It's the favorite activity of your lizard brain. So what you do is you give it stuff to quit, to make it happy, to make it calm. That's the mental image. The way to do it is to give it stuff to quit, which is unnecessary to achieve your goal. So give it stuff to quit strategically, and that's why we call it strategic quitting. Now, what is the stuff that is unnecessary to achieve your goal? That's the stuff that you can delegate, eliminate, and outsource. So that's in a nutshell the link between strategic quitting on the one hand and your lizard brain on the other hand. It simply loves to quit. So you make it happy. Does that make sense? More clarity? Yeah? Okay. Other questions?
Paul, how do you deal with distractors like iPhones, emails, things like that, when you're trying to get focused on doing your thing? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing with distractors, and this is true rule. You have unlimited potential. Everyone here in this room has unlimited potential if they are able to single-mindedly focus on a goal. Yeah, so if you are able to single-mindedly focus on a goal, whatever the goal is, you have unlimited potential. Now, the thing that will not help is distraction, because it will unfocus. It will unfocus your mind. It will unfocus your mind. This is where you can deal with it, and that is a little trick. Also, task through time. Every single day, set aside a fixed amount of time. It can be a half hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, whatever is necessary, to solely work on your most important goals. That's the only focus. And if you have that, shut off every single distraction you can think of. phone, email, whatever. Yeah? So learn to focus. Learn to focus your mind single-mindedly, single-handedly on one or few most important goals. And once you are able to eliminate the distractions, you will see you make a lot of progress on the goals. Yeah, and this will become a habit. That's the second thing you'll see. And the third thing is it will give you a little jolt, a little happy thing in your brain, dopamine. Yeah? That's also what's going to happen. So you get used to this one, and you love to work on your big goals. So once you start doing that, all of a sudden working on your big goals becomes easier and easier and easier. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Eliminate the distractions. Huh? Other questions? Yeah. I'm sorry.
What if you can't jump the frog?
Ah.
What if you can't
The question is, what is if you cannot eat your frog? Is that your question? Yeah. Somehow it's impossible to eat your frog. A couple of strategies to deal with it. The first one is big goals are never achieved in isolation. Big goals are never achieved in isolation. In other words, and that's very practical, if you cross the valley of death, there are moments, there will be moments that you are knocked down. You're bloody, you're on the floor, groggy, and the only thing you want to do is to quit. At that moment, you need other people who will lift you up. Who will lift you up and say, okay, now continue. Yeah? Yeah? So, if you cannot eat your frog, it might be you're groggy on the floor, and this is the moment you might need other people. Hey, can you help me out here? I need it. I need it. Yeah? By the way, if at that moment you have to reach out to other people, you are too late. This is the moment where you need to do it. Yeah? So that's the reason why it is important to work as a team, start to think as a team, and get clarity. This is what I want to do. Yeah? That's one thing. So invite the help of others. The other thing is, if you cannot eat your frog, it might be too big. So what can you do to slice it and make frog legs? Which is the French approach. So what can you do to make it much smaller and have a small frog or a small leg every single day? And once you get the courage for the small thing, then go to the bigger thing as well. So that can be a second strategy to do that. The third strategy, it might be there might be something wrong with your goals. That you might not be as passionate about your goals that you wrote down. So the frog is simply too big. Because if you don't have passion for the goals, every single frog is way too big. You're not going to do it. Does it help?
Yeah, just what do you do when you are dependent on others? Kind of don't want to.
So what? Yeah. So your question is, what is it that you do when you're dependent on others who simply don't want to? Yeah. Find other people who want to. Yeah. You are surrounded by good people, but sometimes you need a different set of people to do different goals. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. Other questions? Let me wrap up. And let me wrap up with the most important formula for high performance. I give you a formula. And this is the most important formula to achieve big goals for high performance. It's the formula of 1 to 70. It's a formula of 1 to 70. And what it actually says is the following. If you improve by 1% every single day, you will be twice as good after 70 days. If you improve by 1% every single day, you will be twice as good after 70 days. And what it tells you is that if you want to achieve big goals, that's not a giant leap forward. All of a sudden, tomorrow morning you wake up, wow, I'm this massive goal achiever. No. It's about doing 1% differently every single day. Small steps every single day. Small steps every single day. Small steps every single day. And if you hang on for 70 days and you look back, wow, your world is completely different. Yeah, and that's the 1% solution. And keep that in mind. It's the small steps, the small things that you do consistently, which will help you to achieve your goal. Now with that in mind, my challenge to you, when you walk out of this theater in a couple of minutes, is the following. What is your 1% solution for tomorrow morning? And what is going to be your frog? Yeah? Having said it, thank you very much. And Peter, the floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. It was a magnificent evening with